The Scottish Family Party are the latest to launch their manifesto in the hope that it's enough to convince voters in the 16 seats that they're standing. Richard Lucas is the leader of the Scottish Family Party. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You talk about Scotland losing its fundamental values. Which values are you talking about?
Where do we start? I mean, one of the ones we're focusing on, particularly in this election campaign, is the value of human life. Before and after birth, I mean, that's a really grave issue. Over 16,000 human lives ended in the womb last year. And we think if that's not an important political issue, we don't know what is, but it's entirely neglected by the main parties.
So would you overturn the right to abortion?
But we would basically, apart from the situations where the mother's life is in danger, yes, we would protect the unborn.
But isn't abortion now the settled will of the people of Scotland in terms of the fact that it's been available for decades now?
Yes, that's absolutely right. It is a substantial majority approve of abortion, but that's what happens in social changes. It starts off with a majority with a view that on reflection, they come to realise was wrong. If you look at, for example, abolition of slavery, etc., if people say, oh, well, the majority think it's fine, so we should just shut up and forget about it, that obviously is not a helpful way to go, is it?
But just by banning it overnight, do you think that would change attitudes?
I think it would. I mean, we're not going to be the government overnight. It's a process. But part of what we're doing in politics is to raise people's awareness of the issue, make people think about it. As more people hear the pro-life case, which generally people don't hear, the more people hear it, the more people will start to doubt the pro-abortion view, the more people will start to come over to the pro-life side. And so that process can proceed, and we're playing our part in it.
You also are a party that is pro-marriage. How do you promote marriage, given that the number of marriages has been falling steadily since the 1970s?
Well, there are three ways we promote marriage. One is we would teach about it in schools, not saying to children, you should get married, but just explain to them the philosophy of marriage, present the facts about the outcomes related to marrying or not marrying, then they can make their own decisions.
And what are those facts?
We would look at incentivising marriage in the tax and benefit system. I would also try and offer cultural leadership, something like, as I'm doing now, I'm talking about the importance of marriage. People are listening to that. So that in itself is playing a part in promoting a culture of marriage.
What do you see as being the facts, the pro-facts for marriage?
Well, the fact is that when people marry before having children or entering into the relationship, it strengthens the relationship. It makes it much, much more stable in the future. So if you look at the outcomes for children, for example, the outcomes for children of married parents are just better on virtually anything that you can measure. And these are very serious problems often that the government's trying to tackle by throwing money in one way or the other. But strengthening family life could make a huge difference to the outcomes for children and adults and for wider society.
But your manifesto is about throwing money at marriage, isn't it?
No, I wouldn't say it's about that.
But you're talking about giving people vouchers for meals, honeymoons, holidays, marriage counselling?
Yeah, well, we've got the wedding box idea, which mirrors the baby box. And the idea is it marks marriage. It communicates to society. We think marriage is an important thing. I mean, the cost of that policy is frankly trivial compared to a lot of other things that parties propose. But we think that would be, I say, a helpful way of raising the profile of marriage, encouraging people to get married and creating a strong culture of marriage in our society.
But is there a wider issue here? I mean, as I say, we've seen for decades now a downward trend in the number of people who are choosing to get married. We also had data from the most recent census showing secularism increasing sharply over a decade. The majority of the population now saying that they are of no religion. Ultimately, you're trying to hold back the tide of social change here. A lot of people might find that as being an odd thing to do. Society does change over time.
It certainly does. Sometimes it changes for the better. Sometimes it changes for the worst. And when we look at the area of family relationships, family stability, and if you look at outcomes for children in lots of areas, then things are heading in the wrong direction. So we're not promoting marriage because, that's the sort of thing we like. This is some sort of arbitrary view that we happen to hold. We promote marriage because we care in particular about children. And anyone who wants to see the best outcomes for children should want to see more and more children brought up in the ideal context, which is with a married mum and dad. You're
contesting 16 seats this time round. What is the best outcome that you can hope for?
Well, we'll see how the results come in. It would be good to see substantial numbers of people voting for us. But another aspect of the election for us is more people hear of us. A lot of people haven't even heard of the Scottish Family Party. So people will hear about us. People will be prompted to think about our unique policy areas, and that's part of the long process of climbing the mountain towards elected representation.
Richard Lucas, leader of the Scottish Family Party, thank you very much for your time this morning.